So our first build is showing compatibility between our Caverns pieces, in this case mostly Caverns Deep pieces with a little bit of our original Caverns, with the new Hellscape stuff. So this is, we built out a thing where it's sort of caverns that you would enter in through here, and it's kind of this wet cavernous area, and then there's this cool drop off, and it drops into this whole lava pit over here. So we have a couple of different transition things going on that we can look at. So over here, we just have a bunch of banks and stepped elevation blocks, rising walls, used to create a gentle drop in elevation over here. I snuck in over here, tried, I don't know how well it works. I took the whole floor and put that with a, just put one of the lava floors underneath it so there'd be some sort of like lava cracks under this hole. It's like a little taste of what's to come. And then we kind of level out down to this layer. And over here we make use of our basic transition pieces. So these are, essentially it's just a floor that's got one side is lava, one side is rock. And so we use those in conjunction. So there's one over here with we've got a freestanding wall. This side is plain, this side has lava. So I took the floor, put the freestanding wall on it, used this big 4x4 transition floor to do the curve, then put this one perpendicular, so we have like an L of regular rock. Put another wall there, and then I just put this little one of the magma jumpy stones on there to kind of help break it up and make it feel organic. But it gives us kind of a nice organic line where the magma is seeping out into the regular stone. Then over here we have regular Caverns passage coming in, and this is our transition piece. So it's magma on this side, regular stone on this side, and the paint transitions here naturally from regular caverns into lava caverns. So we're using that to have that could be like a way out to the rest of the caves, or maybe that's how they originally get in. Or maybe it goes deeper into the caves. So over here, built this whole area we built on a elevation box from our Dungeon of Doom. So it has this whole 12 by 12 area is raised on that, and then we built a couple layers up on top of that. So over here, I'm using some of the large banks and some of the older banks. These are the regular cavern stone painted banks. And have exposed, underneath them, have exposed some lava floors. So it's just some plain lava floors down under there that we've covered with these banks. So it kind of gives like a sense of a fissure. Yeah, so we've used these large banks a lot. We've used them over here. We use the large banks to do a gentle drop down over here. Use them here. The banks are really good for just sort of going up and down. And in this case, sort of exposing a magma crack. This transitions right into the pedestal of pain. I sort of elevated this thing up so it would kind of level out, but we could, if we want, we could just take all of this out. These are just old lava floors. Clear those out. Drop that thing in. Kind of level it up so now then this is all kind of flat, same height. Whatever, and that kind of helps us transition down. And then over here I have two of the rising walls back to back to kind of create a channel up, and we have the bank to wall pieces here sort of dropping us down. All right, so this kind of creates a nice little channel down. That's a good step down over here. This is kind of stepping down over here. And then in this spot, we just used one of these, the magma river going to the wall piece against this, and then with this is the Stairway to Violence base right above it. So it just feels like this magma is flowing under the rest of these caverns and dropping down into who knows where. And then this is a whole fun lava area you could battle in and do some sort of thing. Maybe they've got pieces have to ferry something from one side into the lava and back or something, or they've got to get something from there into the lava to extinguish it or something like before the volcano erupts. But it shows you how well this stuff can play together with the caverns. And let's little sandbox some of this stuff off. See what else we can do to get the new Hellscape to work with the older Caverns pieces. So let's go take a look over here. All right, so a lot of people are curious what the lava rivers would look like running through a regular cavern. So let's take a look. So put some magma rivers out, and let's put some regular pieces right up against them. So, you know, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's also not terrible. Like, it's definitely some hard black lines, but maybe you don't mind, or maybe you could you can mask it with some overlappy bits. You could throw a few stalagmites on there or something, kind of just give it a little cover if you needed to. Something like that to break it up. Another option is you could use these transition floors if you wanted to, and you could pave the sides with some transition floors. These might get repetitive if we use the same thing over and over and over again, but it certainly helps it feel like it's kind of blending in. And then if you drop your couple of stalagmites or something, that could really help break it up, or you could put a little riser piece on it or something if you wanted to. I'll get a few of these. Whoop. Could do something like that, and then put something there. Kind of helps break it up a little bit. Another thing we could do is you could knock everything up one layer. So let's say this was up like such. Maybe let's see. We're gonna have to. Let's get crazy. We're gonna do this. Boom. I'm gonna knock everything up one floor height. And then, where's my corner? Did I lose my mind? You need me a corner. Oh, can you find another corner, Travis? Travis, Tyler, whatever your name is. Okay. Dude.
Travis Engelman.
Old Travis Engelman. Love that guy.
No, he's roommates with Chris McDonald.
Nobody trusts me. So one thing we could do is if you elevate everything up, you could then use the banks pieces to drop down to these the transition bits. Could do a little something like that. Yeah, so you could sort of work your way down to the lavas underneath, and then the banks kind of edge around it. And then you could even, if you wanted to, you could have like a full, maybe this is a full lava floor area, and you put like a, you could put something there and then work our way. So you could do something like this where you use your banks to sort of rim an area that's all magma, and then the rest is caverns, and it's kind of an easier transition. It's pretty floor intensive, so it might not work for everybody. So it's 3 different ways you can integrate some of the new Hellscape pieces with your older Caverns pieces. You can just throw them in straight. You can use some of the transition pieces, or you can use some banks to transition you down into some of the bits and the like. Lots of fun ways to play together. You could also, if you want to jettison these rivers, let's pull these out. You could theoretically put something like, you could build around a big piece, like this volcano piece, and do a, do a gag where it's coming out from the floor in an otherwise lava-y area. It doesn't have to be just a river, it could just be one piece. You could also cover that, do a little thing like this. There's some, certainly some options on how you could play with these pieces and have them exposed or unexposed. And we will look at the compatibility with the Aaron Thors. We'll see how we could actually do this stuff on top and use the magma banks to stack on top of these pieces and kind of spill out on top of the pieces. The other really simple one you could do with this is you could just surround this with, boom. Just surround this with transition pieces. You can do something like that, maybe even use a few regular pieces. Could just build it out and surround it by transition pieces and let it go like that, and maybe you pop a couple things in there to break it up, or maybe you have a couple full, maybe there's a full piece and then you break that one up there or something, and then you go back to regular caverns from there. Something. So these play pretty well, and they share a lot of the same geometry, so there should be a lot of easy ways you can integrate your hellscape with your caverns.